You're acting like a toddler, Rick. You are making an enemy out of me.
It's not what I intended.
Parker, man.
Yeah, I'm going out mining on my own. I've got an opportunity, and I'm going to take it.
Jeez.
The cast of Gold Rush are old associates all these years later with a lot of shared history together. However, from among the stars of the show, none have as long a history and friendship as Parker Schnabel and Rick Ness. So, when things got difficult for Rick Ness recently, he knew exactly who to turn to for help.
But it's not, it's not the answer for the season. I need something I can rely on. So I'm going to see Parker right now. I heard he just bought a whole nother mine. It's been a few years. I really don't know what to expect here.
None other than his old boss and good friend, gold mining wunderkind, Parker Schnabel. Team Ness is hard at work, but it becomes apparent that Rick requires more crew members if he wants to hit all of his goals for the season. No one else is coming in, adding a lot of pressure to Morgan Lauren, a new member of the team. Another issue that is adding to the pressure is the shabby state of the equipment. Morgan points out that the work would be completed much faster if they were able to bring in some newer equipment. While she concedes that the old rented loader does run and gets the task done, she hesitates to call it efficient or even fully functional. As she explains the issues with the loader, she reveals that it's missing its front cab. This means that she has been eating a ton of dirt, and the massive, powerful tires have been kicking up a storm of sand and dirt into her face the whole time. This issue sounds mostly humorous until one imagines the danger of consuming that much dirt, not to mention the damage caused to the loader by having a ton of dirt getting into the cab and the controls. As Rick and Morgan work, they make a greater dent in the pile of dirt. However, even with their speed and dedication, soon something goes wrong. Morgan exits her loader in concern and notices that something is very wrong with her vehicle. She quickly exits the loader and hurries over to the loader's side, observing that the machine is leaning over in a very precarious manner. After a quick look, she determines that the leaning is being caused by a flat tire. She pulls out her walkie-talkie and contacts Rick, informing him of her need to shut down the plant because of her loader's flat tire. Rick quickly goes over to the wash plant and stops all activity.
Rick brought down the 750 for me, and we flew the 330 up there to do tailings. As long as we can keep this gold rolling up to the plant, that's the only thing that matters.
This is to save money and energy from a machine that can cost him a ton of money if it is not actively separating gold from dirt at all times. Rick is upset and decides that he needs to do whatever it takes to remedy this problem. Finding a replacement loader or a new tire is his first thought. He drives away in his truck, musing over where he has an old loader stored for such an occasion. However, after some consideration, he decides that the loader he has is not going to be the answer to this current problem, since he needs something he can rely on, not to break down. This is where Rick explains that he heard his old boss, Parker Schnabel, just bought an entirely new mine and it came with a ton of equipment with it. The hope Rick has is that the equipment will have a spare motor somewhere that he can use. While he is hopeful that Parker will be able to solve his problem, he is nervous to speak to him as it has been a couple of years since they had any real conversation.
How you been, bud?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. So you're back.
I'm back.
How are you feeling?
I feel great.
Good.
Yeah.
Rick doesn't know what to expect, but thinks that they'll be able to make a deal. Parker and Rick have a history as deep as any mining operation, having met when Parker hired Rick when he was 17 years old and just starting his career in the gold mining industry. At the time, Parker wasn't the big shot buying multiple million-dollar mines. He had just a small gold claim to his name. However, these early days are critical to the man he would become, and Rick was a crucial component to his success. Rick and Parker worked together and created a deep bond as they rose in experience and achievement those first few years. Rick Ness eventually became Parker's foreman, but not everything was smooth sailing. When their relationship started to get rocky, they said things to each other they couldn't take back. This was a huge turning point for Rick Ness, because he decided that what he really wanted was to strike out on his own. Rick informed Parker that he had received a great opportunity to be his own boss, and he was going to take it, quitting his position as foreman for Parker's crew. It was a difficult parting, and since then, they haven't spoken face to face until today. Rick expresses his excitement to see his old friend again and hopes that Parker will feel the same.
Can you believe that?
How much does that weigh?
That one is 1.54 ounces.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. Wow.
There is also the issue of Rick's break from gold mining last year, which he is sure Parker already knows about. He wonders if those rumors will change the reception he gets from his old boss. Parker comes down from his loader and immediately makes a joke as he greets Rick. Rick picks up the joke and they share a big laugh, breaking the tension immediately. It feels as though no time has passed at all as they hug. Parker immediately asks how Rick is feeling now that he's back, showing his concern for his health. In a kind move, Parker tells him that he has always had faith that he would survive the hard times and come right back to the business when he was ready. Rick is vulnerable as he admits that he has struggled recently and that looking back, he thinks his best years were with Parker, as he was more productive back then. Parker admits that when he first started as a gold miner with his own claim, he had no idea what he was doing. They bond over how lost they had been at the beginning and how their golden years were spent together. Rick admits that he learned a lot from his time with Parker and that he feels like he's reclaiming some of that youthful energy they had back then, now that he is back and ready to work. Finally, after their sentimental reunion, Parker asks whether Rick has made his way over to catch up or if there is something he needs. Rick immediately admits that of course, he comes all this way because he needs something and prepares to ask for this big favor. Rick tells him that he needs a loader, and Parker immediately tells him that his team inherited a ton of equipment and guides him over to his truck to take a look at all the equipment. When Parker Schnabel bought the Dominion Creek claim, he also purchased everything that was on it. So any tools and machines left behind were included in the purchase.
Okay, sounds good.
We're gonna put Brennan on that end with the 750. I'm gonna keep chewing away down here with the 480, but I got a feeling he's gonna be catching on me pretty fast.
Parker admits that after buying it, he has not even inspected or cataloged everything that came with it. However, the purchase did include $2 million worth of equipment. Rick hops onto the loader on Dominion Creek and starts it up to test its functionality. The sound of the motor passes their quick inspection, and Rick tries to cut a deal right away for the use of the loader. Parker tells him that there will be no deal. Instead, he tells Rick that he hates talking about money, but he especially hates it when it comes to friends. He tells Rick that he can use it, no deal or money exchange is needed. He instead tells him that they can just work it out in the fall. He elaborates that if Rick hits the mother lode, then he will expect a few ounces of gold as rent, but otherwise they're all good. What Parker says is that if the loader helps him, he's happy to lend it. What he truly wants is for Rick to get back on his feet. This is a very humbling moment for Rick, as he realizes that Parker is a true friend to him, even after all their differences. Parker admits that it is a small gesture, but that he hopes it's better than denying him and not mending bridges out of pettiness. Rick is very thankful to him, and Parker suggests that he comes to pick up the loader when the roads clear up a bit. The difficulty of moving the loader may even necessitate bringing a trailer out to move it, but no one is willing to haul such heavy equipment at this time in the season. The problem of transporting the loader over to Rick's claim is overshadowed by the emotional reunion between the two old friends. When Parker is finally alone, he admits that he was surprised to see Rick again, since they have a lot of unspoken history between them. One thing that he is ruminating over is how Rick mentioned that he gave Parker his best years. To Parker, that sounds like crazy talk, because in his mind, Rick Ness has not even reached his best years in the gold mining industry yet. In Parker's eyes, Rick is still very young, only 42 years old. But he understands that perhaps mentally and emotionally the past few years,
we got to keep the ball rolling, so whatever we got to do, right?
Yeah. The reward there is hopefully 30 feet of pay underneath that, right? And good stuff.
Have taken a heavy toll on his old friend. He wishes that things would get better for Rick, and that his small favor will be a step in that direction. In Alaska, Parker Schnabel discovers what may be the richest gold mine. On the next episode of Gold Rush, he claims to have made the most crazy treasure ever. Will this be his greatest win or risk? Stop wasting time and start. Parker Schnabel is overworked managing 2 mines in different countries. He has had initial challenges in Alaska, but gold is bringing growth. His Yukon crew is rushing to mine the massive airfield claim before the season's water license expires. Everything must be stripped and paid for to mine everything left this year. Parker's crew has mined 48 of his 90 airfield acres, including the Keyhole, Easy Street, and Bear Cut. They are using Slucifer to run pay dirt from the 18-acre payback cut to the 24-acre runway cut, the largest and last cut. They must have 5 acres down to pay the next week before restarting Big Red, so it will wait until all the stripping is done. With only one wash plant, the runway cut is all hands on deck until stripped, except for one crew member. Tyson Lee drives the 750 excavator through the payback cut, while Parker handles the D11 and Mitch removes runway overburden with the 700. Given mounting barriers, staying ahead is a daily battle. Air from the 700 excavator suddenly smells like coolant, indicating difficulties. A broken radiator leaks coolant into the hot exhaust manifold, disrupting their plans. Needing replacement components quickly, Mitch calls Taylor. Tyson then departs his 750, leaving him with 480, reducing his ability to transfer Slucifer money. With just 480 digging paid, they risk running out of pay dirt and having nothing to process. Reducing the feed rate reduces gold flow, but it's better than shutting down the plant. With Slucifer decreased and Big Red off, mining all 90 acres is less likely. Crews are removing heavy dirt from the runway cut.
Tyson, do you have a copy? Tyson? Hey, there's a huge build-up in the pre-wash. I don't know what to do.
I'll get it.
They're loading it out without a place to transport it since it's late in the year to open 20 feet of dirt. Parker's crew is racing to clear the 24-acre runway cut to feed Big Red wash plant. Big Red waits on a mountain to wash rocks. If they had pay dirt now, it would work. Tyson is in a tough spot after taking the 750, but opening the ground is crucial to avoid leaving a lot of gold. Tyson is digging for cash to feed Slucifer in the 480, while Mitch's 700 excavator is being repaired. He has reduced Slucifer's feed rate and hopes not to make more changes, but Big Red comes first. However, Taylor arrives with wonderful news. The 700 radiator has been changed and is ready. This should restore their momentum. This machine has transported tons of soil and paying dirt to the wash facility. Tyson can feed Slucifer 220 yards per hour with the 750 back in service. They can process more pay dirt and extract more gold. The 750's return is a big relief, allowing normal operations. Parker's sole wash facility is back online, promising a better season finale. Mitch Blaschke is under pressure to move pay dirt at Parker Schnabel's Indian River claim before the season expires. Both Big Red and Slucifer wash plants operate 24/7, making feeding them essential. Mitch moved Evan, a young passionate rock truck driver, to loader operator to boost output. However, a big issue abruptly halts their progress. Evan finds many large pebbles in the sluice runs, forcing Big Red to stop. Big Red is down, so no gold being processed or money is coming in, but expenses are rising. Big Red must be fixed and working again when needed. Mitch and Tyson quickly discover a blown-out screen deck portion. Huge rocks in sluice runs indicate a large hole in the screen, which filters larger pebbles from finer pay dirt. Huge pebbles clog the opening runs when the screen breaks. Interrupting water flow prevents the guns from catching gold and washes away the sluice box end. The team tackles the tricky screen repair.
The other end of that goes right into the generator head, and it's cooked right off. I mean, you know, this is the engine. This is what powers.
Mitch says the material they're processing is quite sharp and aggressive. This caustic substance slowly erodes tiny screens, cutting them. The damaged screen is removed and replaced with a new one, fastened in place. The screen deck connection is crucial to gold mining. Screens separate larger boulders from finer pay dirt, allowing gold-rich material to be collected. Breaking screens lets big rocks fall through and clog sluice channels. This clog prevents the water from flowing properly, preventing the riffles from catching the gold, which washes out of the sluice box and is lost. Big Red needs to fix the screen to keep processing pay dirt efficiently. Mitch, Tyson, and the crew quickly fix the damage, emphasizing the screen deck's value. With the new screen, the crew restarts Big Red. The effective repair brings relief and satisfaction. Evan's rapid diagnosis saves the squad a lot of gold, proving his value. Over $90,000 is worth 51.6 ounces of runway cut gold. Running Big Red for a week might net $500,000 in gold. Slucifer has been efficient, digesting the chopped dirt and generating 336.05 ounces of gold, worth over $600,000. Parker's team is optimistic because both plants are running well. They appreciate being at the end of their huge mining activity and the effort required to move the wash plants. The crew wants to maximize the season and leave no gold behind as they reach the finish. Parker Schnabel's mining operation is running, but new challenges are straining the workers. Mitch Blaschke is carefully processing a lot of pay dirt from Parker's Indian River claim before the season ends. Mitch has shifted Evan, a young, energetic crew member, from rock truck to loader to help meet demand at Big Red and Slucifer wash plants, which are open 24/7. Despite these achievements, Parker adds a major task. Parker intends to establish a new operation in Alaska's Yukon in 3 weeks, with both wash plants working well in the bear cut and delivering over 1,800 ounces of gold.
Big moment! This is what we've been waiting for and working on all day, buddy. Let's do it.
The season's success depends on both plants working, as over half the area cleared, covering 4 million square feet. Mitch Blaschke must free up more land, including the Panama Canal Cut, a 10-acre cut. Mitch must dig up the only road connecting the camp to the current cutting and build a new road while maintaining critical access to the mine site after hitting frozen pieces and ice on the lone road to the camp. As they start this project, they discover the earth is frozen, aggravating the issue. Tyson informs Mitch that too many projects have left them without soil for the night shift. Parker's frequent plan modifications cause tension, but Mitch's crew is determined to finish the last 350 feet of the new road. They connect the new road just in time, allowing cars to dump pay dirt. With the new road, they can pile dirt and run wash machines. Parker's staff is under pressure to maximize gold production with limited time and resources. Machinery runs at maximum capacity as trucks load coarse tailings. Parker's all-or-nothing decisions push the crew. In 12 hours, they finish the road, enabling vital wash plant access. Mitch examines Parker's bold strategy, knowing that gold miners cannot hold gold underground. Justin and Tyson contend with frozen pay dirt impeding gold recovery in the machine. Cold spring weather makes the permafrost refuse to thaw. The frozen substance makes stripping and hauling difficult, despite their best efforts. Mitch agrees to temporarily shut down the plant to melt and strip after discussing the issue. Though risky, they believe it's necessary to maximize gold recovery over time. By freeing up labor and resources, they aim to strip more efficiently when the weather improves. The workforce prepares to melt and strip as the facility closes, knowing that their success depends on their ability to respond to challenges. They take the risk with drive and teamwork, knowing it will pay off. Parker's decision to cease operations on Big Red because of financial worries.
There you go. That's dead nuts. I just need a rock. Yukon hammer.
Is a deviation from their usual 24/7 running plan once sluicing begins. Parker takes this smart risk due to rising fuel costs and the need to boost income. Parker hopes postponing the wash plant will allow his staff to strip more land and expose it to the sun to thaw. The success of this strategy depends on good weather, which Parker is willing to risk. Nona Lovelace, the office manager turned heavy equipment operator, uses the 73-ton D10 dozer to cut through the deep permafrost. The frozen ground makes mining difficult, but Nona's passion drives her to go. Nona thinks mining is fun since you can overcome obstacles like permafrost. Due of permafrost's harshness, the D10 dozer's blade peels up, stopping progress. Big Red's downtime is compounded by this setback, placing pressure on the team to fix it soon. Technician Smith and welder Dan Colon rush to repair the D10 dozer and restore service. Their efforts show the gravity of the situation, as every moment missed means lost cash. After the suspended pay downtime, the crew resumes operations with relief and worry, despite the shortcomings. They made over $290,000 in gold during the shortened week. While this is a break, Parker knows their situation is terrible. With so much soil to process, any more delays could hurt the season. Parker Schnabel is meticulously planning to capitalize on a potentially successful pay streak with the 4-acre wolf cut on the other side of the claim. Parker wants to deliver 1,000 ounces of gold this season, so he needs to efficiently access the pay dirt, which is 30 feet underground. The crew must remove 100,000 yards of overburden to reach gold-rich soil. The approaching season makes this duty urgent and requires careful planning and hard work. The group meets many hurdles along an old dredge pond, made worse by the flooding. Parker realizes the muddy conditions are making things harder. He warns about big machinery getting bogged in the mud and stresses the significance of careful maneuvering to avoid problems. Michael Baudry, a new crew member, keeps calm despite the obstacles. Michael brings tenacity and perseverance from past adversity to the group, ready to tackle any challenge.
There with a chain on the excavator, get it up on dry ground so we could work on it. It must have shut off or the silt got in there and plugged it up.
Water escaping melting permafrost complicates excavating. This unforeseen event floods the cut with pond water, threatening their efforts. Parker and his staff plan to manage rising water levels after realizing the problem. They installed a sump pump to regulate water flow and prevent floods, allowing them to control the dig site. Parker perseveres to maximize the wolf cut's potential and ensure no gold extraction is missed. Mark cleverly floated the pump on old pontoons to prevent flooding. It's a race against time to rescue the season and keep the money flowing. Mitch is stressed with only 5 days to launch Lucifer. Summer seems to fly by. Mitch places Slucifer in a 30-ton pad and installs the super stacker for speedy pay dirt processing to meet Parker's deadline. Getting everything ready for surgery is a race against time. The crew races to finish Slucifer before Parker arrives from Alaska after repairing the super stacker. As they board the 120-foot super stacker, nervousness grows. However, it elevates and hits the free wash, marking a major goal. Parker is closer to digging out the 90-acre airstrip and starting his Alaska enterprise with 2 wash plants. Despite challenges, the team is determined to keep the gold flowing. An unexpected conveyor blowout halted production, but Parker's crew quickly restored it. Big Red continued to extract gold from the Easy Street cut, securing revenue. Chris detailed their earnings, showing a considerable increase over last year. Having the super stacker at the cut is a big step toward making Slucifer operational. Mitch and his colleagues work hard to cover every detail because failure could slow them down. The conveyor plug occurrence shows that mining always has obstacles. Parker's quick thinking and the team's resourcefulness allow them to solve the problem swiftly, demonstrating their flexibility to unexpected conditions. The crew's recent successes and future prospects keep them upbeat despite their problems. When they hit 1,500 ounces for the season, they feel accomplished. Parker warns them that the Alaska operation is coming up.
Hustling.
You got it pumping, huh?
Yeah. The more you start revving it, the faster it goes, but the chance of it blowing up gets a lot better.
The crew knows their success depends on their ability to stay focused and go forward under difficult conditions. Parker and his team are driven by purpose. Despite challenges, they are committed to a record-breaking season. Mud pits and equipment failure have plagued Parker Schnabel and his gold hunting team. They persevered through determination and resourcefulness, showing their unrelenting commitment to success. Parker's leadership and hands-on attitude have helped the team overcome mining's complexity and create confidence in their ability to succeed. Parker remains certain that the work will be beneficial as they open new cuttings and push through the toughest terrain. Parker Schnabel's gold search is looking good with a new Alaska operation and promising results. Do you like this content? Subscribe and follow us for more.
In the glittering world of gold mining, where fortunes are dug from the heart of the earth, one name stands out: Rick Ness. Known for his uncanny ability to strike gold, Rick has etched his legacy in the Klondike's history. But hold on. This time, Rick's journey takes an unexpected turn. He faces a pivotal moment that could reshape his mining future. What life-altering decision has Rick made, and how will it steer the course of his gold hunting saga? There's more. Brace yourselves for the arrival of an inspiring figure, ready to lend a helping hand in Rick's most challenging hour. Who is this mystery person, and how will they impact Rick's quest for gold? Join us to delve into a mining adventure like never before that will lead to Rick's biggest gold haul ever. Success isn't just about luck, it's about rolling up your sleeves and putting in the hard work. That's something that the indomitable Rick Ness believes in. Now, he finds himself facing a daunting challenge, a gold production goal that seems to be slipping through his fingers. Despite the hefty investments in top-tier equipment, Rick is dealing with machinery issues. Different hurdles are emerging, putting a wrench in the gears of progress, but the twists and turns in this mining saga don't end there. On top of all that, Rick is at a crossroads, facing a crucial decision about the ownership of the land. But the heart of the challenge lies in the earth itself. The act of digging and extracting precious gold from the depths becomes a battle against time and nature. It's a struggle that Rick faces head-on, with determination etched on his face. In the vast expanse of the mining frontier, Rick Ness is facing a pivotal moment in his gold hunting journey. Having staked his entire season on a daring move, a deep cut that promised a potential $5 million in gold, the reality is not living up to the glittering dream. The 190-foot deep cut, the bold gamble that could lead to a substantial payday, is yet to yield the expected results. The goal is 2,000 ounces of gold, but this weight of the goal hangs heavy on Ness's shoulders, not just for the sake of his crew, but for his own survival in the unforgiving world of gold mining. A world into which Rick has poured his heart, soul, and a considerable amount of resources, expecting a gold rush that would make headlines. However, the reality is a bit different. The very ground he walks on holds the key to his mining empire's destiny. However, the landowner has different plans for Rick. Troy Taylor, who is the owner of Duncan Creek, the claim on which Rick is working under the lease, pays an unexpected visit to Rick, who is already under stress for not meeting the gold production goal. Cutting right to the chase, Rick questions the purpose behind Taylor's unanticipated visit, and Taylor, without beating around the bush, dives straight into the heart of the matter. His revelation hangs in the air, laden with potential implications. He wants to sell the Duncan Creek. Rick is now confronted with a significant personal decision. The prospect of owning his own ground looms large, and the gravity of this choice could reshape the entire trajectory of his mining journey. Imagine the dilemma. On one side, the security of owning the land beneath which potential fortunes lie, and on the other, the challenge of meeting the production goals with the clock ticking. It's a decision that could either propel Rick into a new era of mining success or add another layer of complexity to his already intricate venture. But that's not the interesting part. Taylor, with a matter-of-fact demeanor, reveals the terms. $250,000 as a down payment, equivalent to 150 ounces of gold. Now that's how you make a deal with the gold diggers. Surprised by the unexpected proposition, Rick finds himself deep in thought. The idea of owning the very land he's been working on is both appealing and overwhelming. Unsure about taking such a significant step, Rick acknowledges that he is not sure if he can take such a massive step at this already challenging moment. The financial commitment attached to this decision plays on his mind, creating a whirlwind of considerations. As the discussion unfolds, Rick wrestles with the weight of this unforeseen opportunity. The offer of $250,000 or 150 ounces of gold is undeniably substantial. Troy Taylor, after presenting the terms, leaves Rick to contemplate the magnitude of the decision. The gravity of the situation hangs in the air, and Rick is left to grapple with the potential impact on his gold mining journey. The allure of ownership clashes with the daunting prospect of financial responsibility, setting the stage for a pivotal moment in Rick Ness's mining saga. How will the mind boss navigate this unexpected twist in the tale? Will he seize the opportunity, or will the weight of the decision prove too much? The stakes are high, the pressure is on, and the future of Duncan Creek claims hangs in the balance, but it's the mind boss we're talking about. And to make the decision, he has to tackle the other obstacles first. Every miner knows that a glitch in the machinery can translate to lost time and, more importantly, lost gold. Despite heavy investments and state-of-the-art machinery worth millions, the results are not quite hitting the mark. It's a tough spot to be in, especially when your aspirations are as grand as Rick's. The machinery, boasting cutting-edge technology, stands as a testament to Rick's commitment. But, as every seasoned miner knows, the gold beneath the ground doesn't always give in easily. Rick is stuck dealing with a big problem, and he can't tackle it solo. He's in need of help, but the question is, who can he turn to? The first person who crosses Rick's mind in this crucial moment is none other than his reliable dad. With winter approaching, he calls his father for assistance, hoping to bring in the energy needed to finish the season strong. Rick's dad shows up and is pretty amazed by the whole mining setup. He's all in to help out however he can. The two of them now tackle the problem together, dealing with the challenges of mining and figuring out a way forward. The first problem he deals with is the wash plant. With Monster Red running on a tight crew, Rick faces a tough time finding more workers. His dad jumps in to lend a hand and keep things going smoothly. Seeing the mining operation scale, Rick's dad figures he can help out. Without any hesitation, he gets down to work, doing everything needed to keep Monster Red up and running. At Duncan Creek, Rick encounters a hurdle with his 700 excavator. A cracked hydraulic line threatens to slow down the crucial task of clearing tailings. It's a setback that demands immediate attention. Rick, with a determined look on his face, asks his dad to help there too. Rick's dad, not a stranger to hard work, steps into the role of a makeshift mechanic. With tools in hand, they inspect the excavator, and the problem becomes clear: a cracked hydraulic line. It's a hands-on challenge, but Rick's dad isn't one to back down. They work together, making the welding process seem like a puzzle they are determined to solve. After a series of intense efforts, welding, and a bit of elbow grease, the hydraulic issue is fixed. The 700 excavator roars back to life, ready to dig into the tailings and keep the gold production on track. It's a testament to the resilience of the team and their ability to handle unexpected setbacks. With the excavator back in action, the crew dives back into their work, ensuring that every bucket of pay dirt contributes to their season's ambitious gold goal. Whether it's fixing up equipment or helping out in the wash plant, Rick's dad becomes a key part of the team. His experience and hands-on approach bring a new burst of energy, making sure every part of the mining process works like a well-oiled machine. The teamwork between father and son turns challenges into victories. Together, they tackle the ups and downs of mining life, using their combined knowledge to handle whatever comes their way. As Monster Red chews through the pay dirt, it's not just the machines doing the heavy lifting. It's the power of a united team working towards those big gold goals. Despite the challenges, including equipment breakdowns and a flooded cut, the team is determined to reach the season's gold target of 2,000 ounces. The camaraderie between Rick and his dad becomes evident as they tackle repairs together. From fixing machinery issues to maintaining equipment, it's a hands-on collaboration that highlights the importance of a reliable support system. Rick's dad, a testament to the saying, "Actions speak louder than words," embodies the spirit of a true partner in this challenging gold mining journey. Even with the valuable assistance from his dad, Rick finds himself caught in a web of challenges that extend beyond the immediate repairs. In the pursuit of the elusive gold goal and land ownership, Rick must not only contend with mechanical hurdles but also navigate the intricate dynamics of the gold mining world. Each step forward requires a careful calculation, a strategic move, and a relentless determination to overcome whatever obstacles lay in his path. The journey is far from over, and the suspense continues to build as Rick strives to turn his mining dream into a golden reality. And to achieve his dream, he has to beat the cold. As winter's chill creeps in, Rick Ness finds himself standing at the crossroads of a critical decision: how to increase gold production before the icy grip of winter puts a freeze on their operations. Feeling the weight of the looming goal and the pressure to deliver, Rick huddles with his crew, including Kyle Lawson, a newcomer to the gold mining scene with an ironworking background. What steps can Rick take to boost production before the ground freezes and winter poses a threat to his gold mining goals? So, in a bold move, Rick proposes a plan that could potentially change the game. He suggests the simultaneous operation of both wash plants, Monster Red and the trusty Rocky. It's a strategy that, if executed flawlessly, could significantly elevate their gold output. Kyle Lawson, despite being relatively new to the gold mining arena, is entrusted with the responsibility of operating one of the wash plants solo. Can Rick's trusted crew member, Kyle Lawson, uphold the trust placed in him and assist Rick in achieving his dream gold haul? Well, the announcement hung in the air and the crew sensed the gravity of the situation, and Kyle, with a mix of nerves and determination, accepted the challenge. Operating a wash plant alone can be quite overwhelming, especially for someone still getting the hang of things. The potential challenges, especially the threat of tailings causing blockages, are significant concerns. Duncan Creek is ready for a high-stakes operation. With determination etched on his face, Kyle makes his way to the wash plant. The rhythmic hum of the machinery echoes through the mining site as Kyle navigates through the controls, juggling the intricate dance of equipment and pay dirt. The crew watches with bated breath, unsure of what the outcome will be. Despite the initial nervousness, Kyle begins to find his rhythm. The wash plant responds to his commands, and the pay dirt starts flowing smoothly. The potential catastrophe of tailings causing a shutdown becomes a distant worry as Kyle defies the odds and keeps the operation running like a well-oiled machine. Another problem solved, and now just one to go, till Rick smoothens his journey towards his goal. Rick Ness is facing another tough challenge that could make or break his entire season. The crew has been digging for 10 weeks, and finally, they hit the good pay layer they've been aiming for. But there's a major setback. The whole area is flooded with 6 feet of water. To tackle this problem, Rick decides to bring in a robust 10-inch pump, generously provided by the landowner, Troy Taylor. The team gets to work, setting up the pump with hopes that it can handle the large volume of water in the cut. Success with the pump is crucial because it's the key to drying out the area, enabling them to get to the valuable pay dirt below. Despite facing obstacles, including the hefty $40,000 cost of the pump, Rick stays positive and determined. The moment arrives as the pump kicks into action, proving its worth against the waterlogged conditions. With the flooded area slowly drying up, the crew can finally focus on what they came for, extracting the long-awaited, valuable pay dirt that could turn their luck around. As the week unfolds, the results exceed expectations. The gold weight from Monster Red and Rocky combined paints a picture of success. The decision to entrust Kyle with a crucial role pays off. Rick's strategies and his dad's love prove that sometimes the boldest moves and the company of the loved ones lead to the greatest victories. After the challenges, the narrative takes an unexpected turn, injecting a dose of triumph into the mining saga. The crew, once faced with uncertainty, now stands united, motivated by the success of a well-executed plan because they are about to achieve the unexpected. So, here they have it. A whopping 219.8 ounces out of Monster Red and an additional 95 ounces from Rocky. Time for drumroll, because the grand total stands at an impressive 315 ounces, translating to over $500,000. You heard it right, folks. This is not just another gold weigh-in. It's a record breaker. The excitement can be seen as Rick and the crew revel in the victory. This achievement marks their biggest gold haul ever, a remarkable feat that's sure to go down in mining history. The mining site buzzes with newfound energy, and Rick's gamble seems to be steering them in the right direction. This success is not just a number on the scale. It's a testament to their resilience, determination, and the unwavering spirit of the team. But there is still one thing to do. The taste of success lingers in the crisp Klondike air as Rick heads to meet with none other than Troy Taylor. In a moment of revelation, Rick unveils his decision. The words hang in the air as Troy Taylor's eyes light up, mirroring the excitement of sealing the deal. Rick declares that he is ready to buy, making it clear that he's ready to take the plunge and make a substantial commitment. Despite recent challenges, the crew comes together to celebrate their hard-earned success. Cheers echo through Rally Valley, a testament to their resilience in the face of adversity. The journey is far from over, and Rick Ness is unwavering in his quest for the hidden treasure beneath the Klondike soil. Can Rally Valley yield the massive gold discovery that could change Rick's mining destiny? The adventure presses on, with each ounce of gold bringing them closer to their ultimate goal and every challenge strengthening the crew's determination. The Rally Valley saga unfolds, and only time will reveal the true extent of the gold-rich bounty waiting to be unearthed. At the height of the gold rush, Rick Ness was one of the most successful miners. He lost his mind when a rookie mechanic fixed his $1 million excavator. A little boy did fix his $1 million machine. We will look at the details and ups and downs of Rick Ness's mining operations in this video. We will see how the seasons changed, how technology broke down, and how driven Ness was to find rare gold. Come with us as we look at the exciting shows, with a focus on how Rick Ness's never-ending search for wealth in the hard desert changes, succeeds, and fails. In his never-ending search for money, Rick finds himself traveling into uncharted territory because he thinks he has found his most important goal yet. His huge machine for moving dirt is gone, and his team is getting smaller. The odds are against him. When Rick realizes how serious the situation is and posts that a skilled mechanic is needed right away, it's a turning point. Now, a 20-year-old student becomes an important figure because he is asked to show off his skills by building the complex, multi-million-dollar 750 backhoe. The apprentice carefully attaches the bucket and 750 book stick, showing how complicated the job is. They were moved safely by a movable base set to a small gauge. The thought of having to deal with Duncan Creek's various terrain adds another level of difficulty. Torsten, the apprentice, changes the tracks expertly by slowly loosening the bolts that hold the chassis in place. He cleverly positions the digger with the help of the boom, showing how creative the team is when things go wrong. The 750's bucket is particularly impressive because it is so big. It's 3 times bigger than the 480's. Time is important for Rick and his team because they work in less than a half week. Their staff is only 4 people, and they don't have a fixed driver. Rick's earlier success, in which he made an average of just over 70 ounces of gold per week, is very different from this situation. The problems that are coming up show how strong, flexible, and determined the team is as they keep going after their huge gold goal. The group is aware that Carl, the gold miner, is not there, and stresses how important he is to fixing machine problems. They both hope Carl gets better and are worried about taking care of the equipment's upkeep without a trained tech. Most people agree that Torsten's ability to put together the 750 digger was a turning point that made the mining business a lot better. At this time of year, it's hard for Rick to find a plumber, so he's thankful that Torsten helped him right away. As the team gathers for the weekly gold weigh, Rick talks about the effects of having a smaller staff and the need for a worker to fix problems with the pumps. Even with all of these problems, the crew stays friends, and they raise a glass to the amazing gold crop that only 4 crew members, including the new Torsten, were able to handle. The story shows how flexible, determined, and flexible the crew was in getting past problems so they could reach their gold mining goals. The team is still dealing with the problems of the season. They are looking ahead with a mix of determination and confidence as the successful end of the gold weight has given them hope. And yet, none of these problems affect Rick in any way. In fact, they might even be a good thing. We can see that Brennan has a hard time because he can't find any good land. He doesn't care and takes a wild guess as to where a new cut should be made. Almost magically, the chosen area is cleaned up and fully open in a matter of seconds. When people find possible gold in a test pan, they decide to call the new site the Bacon Strip. During the gold rush, there is a tense moment when the parking brake on a rock truck gets caught on a pile of pay dirt. Even though the rescue is shown with dramatic music and quick cuts, the story makes fun of the fact that, to everyone's surprise, no one dies. The episode ends with a smooth cleanup that yields a respectable 75.92 ounces of gold. But things change in the gold rush game when Rick's team goes through a number of staff changes. Riley is the rock truck driver he gets right away after losing the first one. A slightly inflated story about a rock truck losing a tire shows how the crew reacted to what turned out to be a pretty small problem. The following day takes a surprising turn when Riley, the new driver, suddenly disappears. The crowd gets to see Rick's girlfriend learn how to drive a rock truck after she offers to take over. As a joke, the announcer calls this part of the show the perfect blend of boredom and boredom. Rick finds another 47 ounces of gold just as cleanup time is about to start. This brings his season total to 502 ounces. When Riley comes back the next day, he has a huge scar across his face. And the story continues. He gives an account that includes a fight, a trip to the hospital, and having his phone taken away by the police. Even though things didn't go as planned, Rick is glad to have Riley back with the team. The crew's original happiness and excitement quickly faded when they realized there was a major problem. There was a sudden wave of fear among the team, because that's when they found out there was a crack between the plant and the pre-wash that opened up without warning and let water out, which is very bad for the mining operation. Figuring out why there is warning is easy once the two 9-inch steel pins that were joining them are found to be missing. But even though this is a worrying development, no one seems to care. The crew makes 2 new pins to fix the problem. As the team tries to get past the hurdles, more problems come up because rocks can pass through the holes in the screen deck. In an effort to save the situation, they glue steel plates over the holes. It's too bad that the cleanup only turns up 40.64 ounces of gold. At this point, everyone is upset about how limited their current wash plant is. Strangely, there was no reason for why Rick wasn't using Monster Red, the wash plant he had worked hard to fix up over the off-season. The mining team has to make some tough choices that are getting more and more interesting as time goes on. Now though, Rick seems to have forgotten how much work he put into Monster Red over the winter when Freddie and Juan show up to fix his wash plant. It takes 4 days, but they quickly put in the new punch plates Rick bought, even though they are a bit too thin. Surprisingly, Freddie and Juan are able to solve the problem without any problems at all with a little help from Chris. As Freddie and Juan work on the repair, the story moves smoothly and shows off their skill and knowledge. The lack of excitement in this method is very different from the problems that happen in the gold mine business. After 1 day of work, everything is fixed without any major issues. The team cleans up the campfire and finds 17.27 ounces of gold. When Rick wakes up the next morning, his bacon strip shows that there is no pay dirt. It's brave of him to decide to go back to the deep cut even though no gold was found there last year. He has a strong feeling that all the gold in the cut might be concentrated under his access road, and that feeling is very important. As they look into the deep dig, they quickly find 2 rocks, which is seen as a good sign that there is a lot of gold there. Then something strange happens. The cut is supposed to start filling with groundwater, even though everything else is dry, until Rick breaks a berm on purpose and floods the area. Additionally, they make things more difficult by using a pump to remove water from the dry area to smooth things out. Even though the digging process was hard, 126.86 ounces of gold were found after everything was cleaned up. Good luck, Rick. Your season total now stands at 687.68 ounces, showing that you have the toughness and adaptability needed to work in the volatile world of gold mine. But things get interesting when Rick puts Brennan on the Rally Valley night shift. During the first night shift, a rock truck breaks down, but it is fixed well. Brennan has to peel the next night, which is called Glacier Till. Foreman Brennan is promoted by Rick the next day after a short break in the story. People are left thinking about the possible interesting things that were said but not done during Brennan's night shift and promotion, since the recap jokes about leaving out the more interesting parts. The story is now following Rick as he digs deeper into Rally Valley. Something strange happens when he hits a bed of rocks and blocks 30 feet earlier than planned. But when you look at things in a bigger picture, it might not have been as shocking as people made it out to be. People believe that these rocks are good signs of good gold, which is made clear in the story. It's good that Rick finds 25 to 30 gold nuggets when he tries pans of the material. Rick sees what could happen and chooses to try his smaller wash plant in a bigger way. He needs to build a new road and a bridge across the valley so that everyone can get there. 14.02 ounces of gold are made in the 1,000-yard test. Because of these discoveries, Rick feels a sense of urgency and panic throughout the show. The reason is that Monster Red, the main wash plant, isn't ready to handle new ground. Rick has a tough choice to make. He doesn't want to throw away the valuable pay dirt, but he needs to run it through his wash plant right away. So far as we can tell, Rick's changes to his plans have made a huge difference for the whole Gold Rush crew. At first, Rick didn't want to set up Monster Red when he got to the last pay stage in Rally Valley. But at the beginning of the show, he has to face the hard truth that he needs to set up Monster Red in order to get to the top pay level. This decision sets the stage for the challenges and wins that will follow. In the episode, Rick is seen handling Monster Red. At first, there are only a few happy shouts and not much else happens. When a brand new hopper feeder appears out of nowhere, the story takes a turn that no one saw coming. It was said that Rick had spent all of his leftover money on updating Monster Red and buying a new dozer over the winter, so this is even stranger. Some people think that he may have bought the hopper feeder with money from Fred's supposedly endless savings. Rick is able to run Monster Red for 2 days and get 43.53 ounces of gold, even though it had some problems at first. When the rocks roll back down Rick's conveyor belt, they make things tricky. To fix the problem, he calls the company that made the hopper feeder, and they add a finger trap to keep the rocks from going back down the line. When Rick makes this change, the program goes on to the cleanup stage, where he finds an amazing find, 181.17 ounces of gold. At this point, though, it looks like Rick is having a rough season and needs help. People in the crowd were shocked when Rick's father, not the man who drove the truck, was called in. The episode looks like it was cut together badly, with sudden changes in the weather and seasons. At first, Rick's dad can be seen going outside in the snow and then getting on a rock truck. But the snow goes away quickly. The description is funny because of the uneven editing. Soon after, the 700 digger breaks down, and trying to rewild the hydraulic tubes makes the situation worse. Later attempts to empty the lines don't work and make things worse. Even though it's hard, Rick finds an amazing 122.21 ounces of gold. When Rick spends a lot of time in Rally Valley in late fall, more things happened. He is suddenly called away from his work to let him know that the claim owner is there. When late fall turns into early winter, things take a turn that no one saw coming. The owner of the claim says she wants to sell it to Rick, but she won't say how much. For some reason, Rick is given an extra chance. He has 2 years to make the 150-ounce down payment if he can. After that, there are heated conversations, looks, and thoughts that make Rick come up with what seems like an odd plan. The first exciting part of Rick's plan is to go back in time to late summer. Running Monster Red and Rocky at the same time is a brave move. The storyteller builds a sense of mystery and tension by picking up on people's confusion about the strange editing choices. As the story goes on, an accident happens when a rock truck tips over while backing up to dump on a pay pile. The part that's unclear is when it turns out that the truck was empty the whole time, but fully filled when it tipped over. This makes the story even less clear. It's time to clean up in the middle of all the strange things that are going on. Rocky gets 95.4 ounces, but Monster Red gets 219.8 ounces, which is even more. But when people are celebrating a win, winter comes back quickly. Rick is not bothered by the passing of time. He decides to take advantage of the situation and buy the claim from its owner, promising to pay the 150 ounces that they had agreed upon. All of these show how unstable gold mining can be by showing both losses and wins. At the end, Rick makes a big decision that will affect the future of his business in Rally Valley. Even though it had snowed earlier in the season, Rick thought the big snowfall in the middle of winter was the first big snowfall of the year. Rockies will be closed for the year because of the snow, says Rick. This choice makes someone suddenly sneeze, which draws attention to the problems and irritations the mining operation is having. The fact that the pay in Rally Valley is so wet shows that they have hit the water table. To fix this, Rick adds a pump. Cutting that goes very quickly and exciting scenes. People say that the lack of progress the next morning is because the pump is too small, but it looks like there may be more issues. Rick decides out of the blue to take another pump without permission, which leads to a dry cut the next day. The story is mostly about the drama of the pump problem, but the water table's uneven effects make you wonder about some things. Since Rick has to pay $40,000 for the pump, it becomes more likely that Fred, who seems to have endless resources, could help with money. Even though there are problems and disagreements, the cleanup goes well, and 206.09 ounces of gold are found. These different kinds of problems and good outcomes show how unpredictable gold digging can be in the winter. As soon as winter comes early on Rick's claim, he might call all of his miners together for an encouraging speech and tell them to work harder. This is a common theme during the mining season. Rick sets up 2 machines to feed the 400-yard-per-hour wash facility so that he can get the most work done. One loader had electrical problems while it was working. These problems can be quickly fixed by cleaning the links between the batteries. Suddenly, a lot of the cut gives way, which makes the person angry and makes them swear and rub their face. Drone footage shows that the group quickly runs away because they are afraid for their lives and their gear. As the last step in the cleanup process is completed, an amazing 393 ounces are found. For the season, Rick has now weighed 2,047 ounces of gold. When you look more closely at the final gold weigh-ins, you can see that he found 19% of his gold in the last 4 weeks of the season. This is an amazing feat of gold mining. Overall, it was a great search, but do you remember when Rick's girlfriend showed up and saved the day? Lise, Rick's girlfriend, helps out a team member who is hurt. Rick's co-worker got lost in the mine madness of the bacon strip, but Elise's surprise truck skills turned things around. Rick now has 502 ounces of gold for the season, which was worth over $900,000. The crew won with 80.47 ounces of gold. To get to lower, nugget-rich ground, Rick Ness sped through the bacon strip at Duncan Creek. Riley, his new partner, wasn't at work, and he couldn't get in touch with him or tell him when he would be back. This made him angry. It made Rick feel bad, especially after a hard year. With only 2 rock trucks, Rocky could not work at full speed. Elise, Rick's girlfriend, offered to drive trucks to help. Rick gave it some thought, but in the end chose to let her learn with crews. Elise amazed everyone by being able to handle the basics and even learn more harder lessons, even though she had never been digging before. Rocky was back with 3 trucks, and Elise was driving one of them to help them move forward. Once again, Rick was pleased to see that the crew had reached 80.47 ounces of gold, which is more than $145,000. Rick has now caught 502 ounces this season, which is worth more than $900,000. This is a big accomplishment for the small group. The show ended with a funny moment where the crew made fun of Elise for something she did on the rock truck that no one saw coming. The Ness team has their best mining week yet, making almost $300,000. When Monster Red lost efficiency because of a problem with the pipeline, Rick Ness was put in a tough spot. And surprising 181 ounces of gold were found in just 70 hours, thanks to a quick fix for a finger trap and quick thought. Rick is now hoping that he will reach the rare 2,000-ounce mark. There was a lot of competition for Rick Ness to win the 2,000-ounce prize, which was the biggest award of the season. But because of problems with the seat conveyor, Monster Red dropped from moving 300 yards of dirt per hour to moving only 200 yards of dirt per hour. Its once efficient operation came to a sudden stop. Rick was afraid that he might lose gold, so he called a company right away and prayed that they could fix it quickly. There was still a lot of yardage left in the season, so Rick knew how important it was to fix this right away. During a very important meeting, Rick told Proctor Barry and Scott Ezekiel about the problem of rocks going back down the conveyor belt more slowly. It was suggested that a finger trap, which is a frame with 8 metal fingers, be built to catch rocks and let pay dirt flow through. Rick agreed to the idea and emphasized how important it was, even though building was supposed to stop. As smart as ever, Barry and Scott looked through the boneyard for extra parts that they could use to make Rick's finger trap. This smart fix took several hours to finish, and Monster Red was now ready for a test run. The team was nervously waiting for the results and thought how much gold they would really find in Rally Valley. The group found an amazing 181 ounces of gold in just 70 hours, which was more than they thought they would find. Because of how well it turned out, Rick said it was one of their biggest gold finds. He told the team thank you and said he was excited to mine at Monster Red's fast pace to keep the momentum going toward the elusive 2,000-ounce goal. Troy Taylor, the owner of the land where Rick Ness is looking for 2,000 ounces of gold, gives him a chance by offering to buy the land with a 150-ounce down payment. Ness now has the most gold he has ever won. Kyle Lawson, a rookie, is in charge of a bold plan that makes an amazing 315 ounces every week. Rick is driven to succeed, so he makes a promise to own land even though there are problems. Mine manager Rick Ness staked his young career on a 190-foot deep-cut test drilling, which increased the chance of a $5 million gold hit. Rick is 800 ounces short of his goal weight of 2,000 ounces because the results haven't lived up to his hopes. Rick is worried about his survival as winter comes and the high-grade pay layer stays out of reach. He isn't just enjoying digging a big hole. No, Rick knows he needs to find an answer and thinks about the best way to reach his season's goal. Troy Taylor, the owner of the Duncan Creek house that Rick is said to be renting, calls him out of the blue. Troy makes Rick an offer to buy the land and puts down 150 ounces, which is equal to $250,000, $100. Rick is shocked by the offer, but he says he'll think about it and get back to you right away. Rick is having a hard time making a profit after spending a lot of money on new tools, so this offer comes at a bad time. Rick feels the rush and thinks of new ways to get more done and keep things going forward. He tells his team about a bold plan. He wants to run both wash stations at the same time. Rick talks to Kyle Lawson, who used to work as an iron worker in Yukon, and asks him to run a single workshop by himself so that this plan can work. Kyle takes on the job of running Rocky, the wash plant, even though he doesn't know much about mining. Because he is always short-staffed, Rick counts on Kyle to bring in the extra 150 ounces needed for the down payment. Since Rocky is back at work, Kyle is in charge of running the wash plant and filling the dirt by himself. He is in charge of the process and makes sure that the ashes don't get in the way of the flow. Even though it's hard, Kyle is able to process the gold and reports an amazing 315 ounces of output for the week, with 219.8 ounces coming from Monster Red and 95 ounces from Rocky. Rick is so excited about his huge gold find that he goes to talk to the homeowner, Troy Taylor, about buying the land. Rick is sure of his choice, so he agrees to buy the land and says that the down payment can't be returned. Rick says he is sure he will be able to pay back the loan before the end of the season, and the deal says that the fee plan will continue into the next season. As Rick gets closer to his goal of having his own land, he thinks about the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Rick is amazed by Monster Red's digging skills. When Monster Red makes a comeback, Rick Ness sets a 2,000-ounce goal for him. A new hopper feeder gets around problems and boosts output to more than 300 yards per hour. As winter gets closer, things get more urgent, and Rick's determination to finish his gold mine project on time stands out. Rick Ness, the mine boss, has to do the hard work of bringing Monster Red back to life in order to make his 2,000-ounce goal. Within 48 hours, his goal is to develop and improve the plant so that it works as efficiently as possible. A big LRS feeder with twice as much capacity as the old model is part of the plan, along with a simplified design that doesn't have any extra lines. Installing it is hard, especially when a heavy chute makes the toe lift work less well. The group changes the wire to stop more damage. The updated hopper feeder in Monster Red makes it possible for it to do more while keeping the focus on speed and ease of use. Rick thinks that running the plant at over 300 yards per hour will make it much more productive. The team brings Monster Red back to life after a scary moment with a broken part and sets it up to look at Rally Valley's rich pay dirt. It's becoming more and more important to get Monster Red up and running as winter approaches. Rick is determined to be successful in his gold mining project, as shown by his desire to end the season on a high note. Rick is looking forward to the arrival of the new hopper feeder and the chance to make money from Rally Valley's deep-cut pay dirt, especially now that Monster Red is ready for fight. The major turning point in Rick's journey to financial success and the completion of his 2,000-ounce goal was the repair of the wash plant. The leaves changing colors are a steady reminder that time is running out to get things done, so the rush is on. The biggest gold weights of Season 12 come from Parker using Lucifer's wash plant at Scribner Creek to its fullest, which yields 337.45 ounces. Rick's team can now clean up 3 ounces per hour. Parker's team at Big Red is having a great week because 596.6 ounces are worth more than $1 million. The story gives a short summary of the problems and successes that come with gold digging. The team meets at Scribner Creek for the gold weigh-in. They greet each other and talk about what they have planned for the week. Parker talks about the costs of the process. He says that he had to pay $350,000 to get rid of his deepest dirt. which added up to $1.4 million. Lucifer, his wash plant, needs to produce more than 180 ounces to break even, which will be hard to do since it only produced 84 ounces last week. When things went wrong, the team made changes that improved the wash plant's performance and cut down on the amount of water it used. Torsten gets the 750 digger ready for Duncan Creek's rough ground by carefully moving the movable undercarriage. Things are getting more exciting as the gold show gets closer. Since Mitch fixed the plant, he quickly shows off the result, which is a big step forward. The cleanup from the 750 makes an amazing 337.45 ounces, which is more than expected and brings in more than $600,000. Now, Rick's business runs for less than 2 weeks with only 4 employees and no dedicated mechanic, which is very different from last year's average of just over 70 ounces per week. The difficulties bring out the team's ability to change and keep going. The story then moves on to Rick's cleanup, where he gets 3 times as much gold as before, up from 1 ounce per hour. The crew is happy about the success and points out the big steps forward that have been made. As the team finishes up and thanks each other for their work, the friendship stays strong. The gold keeps coming out. Mitch's hard work pays off, and Chris does a nice job that adds to the overall success. The scene moves to Parker's team at Big Red, where everyone is happy about their accomplishments. More than $4 million has been put into Mud Mountain to get to its rich prizes, which is making people more excited. Big Red has never had a better week than this one, with a gold reveal that adds up to 596.6 ounces worth over $1 million. There are many problems, successes, and trades in the story, which gives a full picture of the hard world of gold mine. Scenes flow smoothly into the next, showing the highs and lows of the business before a successful gold weigh-in that makes money. The scene moves to Parker's team at Big Red, where everyone is happy about their accomplishments. More than $4 million has been put into Mud Mountain to get to its rich prizes, which is making people more excited. Big Red has never had a better week than this one, with a gold reveal that adds up to 596.6 ounces, worth over $1 million. There are many problems, successes, and trades in the story, which gives a full picture of the hard world of gold mine. Scenes flow smoothly into the next, showing the highs and lows of the business before a successful gold weigh-in that makes money. Rick Ness only needs 300 more gold ounces to reach his season goal. However, as winter comes, Rick needs to get another 550 ounces to reach his 2,000-ounce goal. The group turns their attention to Monster Red and buys a strong pump to deal with the water problems in cold weather. The story shows how determined, creative, and persistent they were in the unpredictable world of gold digging. The snow on the steep land above Keno in late September is a sign that winter has come early. The once bustling wash plant, which is an important part of getting gold out of the ground, is now dormant under its winter coat, representing the problems caused by the changing environment. Rick takes a moment to think about the big chances he took when he started digging gold by himself. This shows how determined he has been over the years. In his 3rd season away from the Kundik, Rick is almost at Keno's big gold find. He put down a big deposit to make sure that his claims are taken care of. But there is still a big problem to solve. He needs another 550 ounces to hit his lofty 2,000-ounce goal. The mining season is almost over. The story then moves on easily to the mine site, where Rick is solving a puzzle about water. Last week, Rocky, his second wash plant, helped him get the biggest gold weigh-in ever. Still, the coming frost is always a worry, and work has to be done all the time to keep the water flowing. The fact that Rocky has decided to shut down shows a shift in strategy, with more focus on Monster Red and a stronger push to reach the season's gold goal. Rick is having a hard time with the water problem while it is snowing outside, which shows how the process is always affected by weather below freezing. He is honest about the problems they've had and stresses how important it is to have a pump to stop the groundwater from coming in all the time. Even though they face problems and setbacks, the group stays motivated to find the money that is hidden beneath the waves. Rick and the rest of the team face the water problem head-on to find a solution. The discovery of a strong 10-inch pump is a turning point, but it comes at a high cost that shows the unexpected costs that come with the gold rush. As things stand, they perfectly show the spirit of teamwork and determination that is needed to overcome unexpected problems in the never-ending search for gold wealth. As the strong pump is used to show that it can move a lot of water, the story keeps going in a clever way. The combined efforts of the team to get the pump going show the dedication and teamwork needed to deal with the unpredictable nature of gold mine. Even though there are problems, costs that weren't expected, and ongoing problems with the weather, Rick is still set about the gold output. The results that could be seen, the gold that was recovered, and the hope for future success show how determined and clever Rick and his team were in figuring out how the unpredictable gold mining business worked. As our look into the fascinating world of Gold Rush and Rick Ness's gold mine tries comes to a close, we have seen how luck can change quickly in harsh terrain and as the seasons change all the time. Rick's journey has been an emotional roller coaster of highs and lows, persistence, and finally success, from managing falls in the cut to dealing with early winter storms. The rough conditions of the mining season have shown off the pristine beauty of Alaska's wildness and the strong will of the people who go there in search of money. Rick's changes to his plans and the thrill of finding gold at the last minute have shown how unpredictable gold mining can be. We are shocked by the problems that were solved and the wealth that were found as we say goodbye to the drama, thrill, and excitement that make up Rick Ness's search for gold. In these thrilling and difficult episodes, the superheroic and warrior-like qualities of Tony Beets, a gold miner, and the Winchester crew, who are able to survive the challenge of recovering their most recent machinery, are brought to the forefront. In the event that their excavator stops functioning owing to chain problems, what strategies will Winchester crew employ to deal with the situation? As a result of this circumstance, how will they get the end that they want? Let's join Tony Beets and the Winchester crew in their pursuit of gold and dive headfirst into the extremely fascinating endeavors that they are involved in. During his search for gold in Paradise Hill, Yukon, Tony Beets jumps headfirst into his objective. Tony Beets is making progress in the correct direction to achieve his goal of digging 5,000 ounces of gold, utilizing the sophisticated technology that is operating to effectively carry out his objective. He is in the process of maintaining his previous record. The most significant obstacle that he must overcome in his endeavor is the weather conditions, which have the potential to produce a significant disruption in his path. Even though it is the middle of September, the persistent rain is making the situation more stressful for the leader of the clan Dyke. This is because the rain is slowing down the machinery. In light of the fact that he is only 900 ounces away from achieving his objective, he is all set to dig the 80 pup cut, which has a great deal of potential to uncover a substantial quantity of gold. The rain is making things tough for them because it is filling the pond with water, but he is so excited to see the mounds of gold that are in the 80 pup cut. They were confronted with the same difficulty 12 weeks earlier, which led to the entire suspension of their operation. At that time, the ponds were flooded with water, and they had to construct them once more. This time, the same weather scenario puts a significant amount of pressure on his nerves, and he instructs Mike, one of his crew members, to take the 220 excavator to the dike by the pump area in order to fix things up and to prevent the dreadful repercussions of the water falling down in the ponds and disrupting their activities. The excavator 220 that Mike is operating is making its way through the sticky mud on its way to the dike. In spite of the rain that is getting heavier, he is hoping to reach the dike as quickly as possible. The excavator gradually slows down as a result of the muddy ground, which prevents it from progressing any further than it already has. In an instant, the excavator comes to a complete halt and starts to sink steadily. When he sees the excavator sunk down there, he appears to be somewhat dissatisfied. At this time, Tony arrives at the location and expresses his desire to retrieve the submerged excavator. He immediately ceases all of his mining activities because he is unable to continue with the mining endeavors without the excavator, and he cannot allow his machine to continue in this manner. It was initially their intention to pull the sinking excavator out of the water with the assistance of 2 additional excavators. However, this endeavor has not produced any results at all. They need to broaden the scope of their struggles in order to bring heavy gear to a state where it can function properly. As soon as Tony comes up with a strategy to bring the excavator through the door, they are prepared to put it into action without delay. He divulges his strategy to bring in further reinforcements. It is his intention to bring the 18-ton D6 dozer, as well as the enormous 115-ton D11 dozer. In order to construct a sturdy foundation for the excavator, he intends to first remove the water from the area surrounding the submerged excavator, and then, with the assistance of a D6 dozer, force the coarse tailing into the hole. Last but not least, the colossal D11, which is a monster with 850 horsepower, will bring out the excavator while it is on the sturdy reinforced ramp. Within the plan, they discover a glimmer of optimism. In spite of the fact that the idea appears to be fantastic, it turns out to be quite challenging to implement due to the enormous amount of dirty water. Tony assumes control of the D6 dozer and starts the process of removing the water from the area. As it should have been, it starts to demonstrate the progress that has been made. On the other side, Mike begins to add coarse tailing to the pit, and it proves to be really beneficial for them. Even if the severe rain in Paradise Hills slows down the process of gold hunting, Tony is still optimistic that he will be able to harvest more gold out of the 80 pup cut, because it has proven to be quite fertile in terms of producing gold. Tony and his family are currently seated at the dinner table, which is located in their regular location. He laughs at Mike's suggestion that he should be held accountable for allowing their excavator to become submerged in the muck, because he has been driving the excavator without paying attention to the directions. It appears that he is pleased to be able to release the tension in a span of 2 to 3 hours. Despite the fact that Tony claims that the success is the result of his engineering and wisdom, Mike says that it is relatively simple to retrieve the excavator. Tony laughs as he makes this assertion. In the meantime, Mike is weighing the gold that he has acquired by pouring it into the tray. Tony requires 300 ounces of gold in order to maintain the functioning of their family system. As soon as Mike starts pouring gold out of the jar, the entire family immediately focuses their attention on the scale, and they start reading it out loud. Almost immediately, the readout goes beyond 300 and to 500 ounces, which is significantly higher than what they had anticipated. The entire amount of gold that they acquire is 4,601 ounces, and they receive 500 ounces of gold that is worth $850,000. As a result of their excursion that took place in extremely severe weather conditions, they consider it to be exceptional. Jason Fraser, another mining boss, has arrived to Tony Beat's Hunker Cut along with his Winchester crew. This is occurring on the opposite side of the fence. They have been in Yukon for the first time, and they are getting close to the end of their first season there. After the toil associated with a lengthy summer season, they are so eager to get back to their homes. Therefore, in order for them to continue living freely, all that is required of them is 200 ounces of gold to pay their landlords. They are optimistic that they will achieve their ultimate outcome, which is to acquire approximately 200 ounces of gold. Tony gives his blessing to the proposal because he will profit 30% from it. As of right now, they have already reached 106 ounces, and the entire cut has been thoroughly investigated. The truck that John Van Tuyl is driving to the Winchester is equipped with a double-barrel wash plant that he has constructed at his home. He is holding the steering wheel. Over the course of the season, it has been functioning fairly well, and he is still holding out hope that it will continue to function in the same manner. As the third member of their skeleton crew, Butch, who was formerly employed as a logger, goes through the process of becoming an excavator operator, he goes from being a novice to being deeply appreciative. In the midst of his announcement that he is on the final thread of 10,000 yards, the excavator suddenly hits a setback. In the course of its operation, the chain of the excavator breaks. Following his descent from the excavator, he makes a beeline for Jason in order to convey the news that the trammel has ceased functioning. Upon Jason's arrival, they investigate the situation and discover that the chain that is dangling down the excavator is the cause of the machine's inability to function properly. They discover that the chain has been severed from the master link, which is responsible for holding the entire chain together. If the master link has become inoperable, the Winchester weapon system will be unable to spin its twin barrel wash system. They have arrived at the conclusion that in order to avoid any delays in their work, they need to locate an additional master link to the chain. They search through a large bag of links and correctly identify the one that can be of assistance in the event that it is needed. However, John instructs Butch to attach the master link that is broken. He requests that he activate the TRL by turning the black button on the opposite side of the device to the opposite position. Subsequently, he requests that he let it go slowly while holding it. After that, he instructs him to move his hand slightly, since he does not want to cause his hand to get more compressed. Immediately after he raises his hand, the chain is unable to reach its wheel and they are forced to halt it for a period of time. They give it another go in an effort to recreate the procedure, and this time, they are able to make some further headway. During this time, Jason arrives at the location with the master link and climbs up the ladder in order to execute an assault on the chain. Finally, the Winchester crew succeeds in continuing their mining operation after the hard 2 hours of labor with the chain. They have a limited amount of time to meet their objective of 200 ounces, which is still 94 ounces short. Winter is just about to set in, and they have that time as a premium. When it comes to machinery, Jason laughs at the fact that they, like people, do not enjoy working during the winter months. Having returned to Tony's residence, he is currently seated alongside his woman. They have positioned themselves in anticipation of the Winchester crew, who are just about to arrive after cleaning the final patch. While he is thrilled, he is also hopeful that the Winchester crew will be able to accomplish what they have set out to do. During this time, the Winchester crew arrives at the location, and Tony inquires about the malfunction of the equipment that is causing them difficulties in their endeavor. Jason starts to pour the gold from a box onto the weighing scale, and they start reading it out loud at around the same time. They appear to be quite ecstatic and content with the discovery of 101 ounces of gold, which is beyond their expectations. This is because they have finally accomplished their objective, which is to acquire gold worth $350,000. Tony extends his most heartfelt congratulations to them on the successful conclusion of their first season at Yukon, and extends an invitation to return to the location. It is a happy conclusion for Tony and the Winchester crew, because their trips end up accomplishing their goal in a remarkable manner, despite the fact that they encountered a lot of challenges along the way and squandered a lot of time. In the comments section, please give your thoughts on these fascinating gold rush activities, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more exciting and adventurous adventures in the future.
Been able to handle it, we would have been a little farther ahead than we are, but in that 10-inch pump, like, that's certainly got the power to do it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that came with a price tag.
Rick has been able to pay off his royalties for the year to Troy and is starting to feel better about this year's haul. Despite beginning his season 2 weeks later than everyone else, he is proud to say that he and his team have been moving along very well and have been working at full capacity. They have their hopper feeder in place and working through their pay dirt steadily. His goal of 1,000 gold ounces for the season is more urgent than ever now that he has a clear path ahead of him with no debts hanging over his head. The failure of last year cannot be repeated, as he failed to meet his goal and barely broke even. Rick plans to put some gold in the safe as the gold prices have shot way up.
This is great. I mean, 206 ounces,
Man.
that's awesome. If we just keep going deeper in that, it's just going to get better.
That's the next challenge, right?
Yeah.
He needs to turn things around this year or find a new career after past failures. Rick commiserates with his other crew members, saying that the past year felt like they were moving dirt around for fun rather than mining for gold. The past 4 weeks have been spent making their way through the cheap cut, where the gold is all found on the highest layer of dirt, practically sparkling in the sun. As they reflect on their mistakes and their work this season, they identify their biggest problem for this year. Their newest recruit, Mark, informs them that they are almost out of pay dirt from the cheap cut. This means that they have no pay to feed the wash plant, Rocky, and no gold to collect. Even the new guy knows that with only a day's worth of cheap cut pay left, they are going to have to look for new ground to sluice. An experienced gold miner, Rick knew that this was a problem that would come up sooner rather than later. So, Rick has been looking for a new area to mine. This pressing need for more pay dirt has fed the drive to explore the area and find new ground to mine. This urgency and success in the cheap cut has renewed Rick's passion for gold mining. He believes that his many years of experience have given him an edge and skill for this kind of gold and pay dirt prospecting. As Rick stands surveying the land, he points out piles of dirt that he feels could have the best gold content they've ever encountered. He points out a corner in the area that he has high hopes for, noting how all the dirt is piled up together. But why does he feel that way? Well, 20,000 years ago, on Lower Duncan Creek, a glacier once pushed up a mound of rock and dirt, known as a moraine, to the edge of the cheap cut. Rick believes that this blockage has trapped gold all up against it over the centuries. All gold that is washed down from the motherlode. If his theory is right, he has stumbled across a buildup of gold that has been growing for ages. Rick gathers the dirt and rock from where he believes the glacier created the moraine and puts it in his panning bowl. His belief is that this could be the best gold they found all year, and with the price of gold only increasing, he would make some of the largest profit margins in recent memory. He carefully pans the dirt in the nearby water, and he determines that he needs to see at least 15 to 20 distinct colors in the pan to make the area a viable location. Extending the cut is a decision that could make or break his career at this point.
You pull that big rock out of there?
I did, 2 of them, building Stonehenge here.
Where you start hitting those big boulders like that, like you're in the right spot.
The Ness crew at Duncan Creek is busy extending the cheap cut, trying to determine whether Rick's hunch is correct. Mark keeps adding to a stockpile of pay dirt that is meant to keep the wash plant running. They cannot afford to shut down. However, a problem arises when they lose water pressure over at the wash plant. This is extremely frustrating as it feels as though the team is being delayed and set back every single day, unable to catch up. The leak in the water pump is quickly spotted and tells them they have to shut down operations for the day until it is patched. All of this downtime is a huge red flag, so they decide against fixing the leak and instead replacing the water pump entirely. Carl brings in the backup and they hurry to install it with the help of a crane. The replacement won't start up, causing their hopes to come crashing down. Rick Ness needs to calculate whether his decision to extend the cheap cut will pay off. Before getting to the numbers, Rick makes small talk and eases the tension in the room. Part of being a leader is tending to one's subordinates, and that's something Rick doesn't forget. Finally, they get down to business, and Rick pulls out the scale. To reach their gold weight, Rick would need an ounce of gold per 100 yards from this extension of the cheap cut. They have run over 7,000 yards, and Rick needs at least 70 ounces from this venture. The gold is carefully poured onto the scale, and it measures well over 70 ounces, reaching 82.37 ounces. This is a fantastic showing, especially because gold prices are up at a massive $1,750 an ounce. This means that Rick has mined $144,000 worth of gold from the cheap cut extension. His hunch, combined with his knowledge of the history and geography of Alaska, has paid off in a big way. This is Rick's biggest haul of the season. Everyone is left amazed, as they have never seen such a good cleanup with their own eyes before. Rick reflects on how they never came anywhere close to this last year. It seems that his theory about the moraine was proven correct, and he found an amazing cache of gold.
At this point, it's only numbers like that we need. They kind of got to keep going up, so.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot more of it out here, right, on this property, so.
A few more hauls like this, and their season will go very smoothly. It also eases concerns that their late start in the season would irrevocably destroy their chances of meeting their gold ounce goal. It's barely September, and the weather has turned colder, covering the land in snow and slowing down operations for the Ness crew. This is a warning that the end of the season is around the corner, despite everyone believing they should still be experiencing autumn weather. Rick is upset, as he believes his wash plant, Rocky, should still be running at this time in the season. However, after helping him bring in his biggest gold ounce haul in the season only a week ago, his wash plant, Rocky, has shut down unexpectedly. The weather will not allow for water to run through the machine without freezing and disrupting the equipment. This didn't stop the team, but the more they tried to push the wash plant, the slower it would go. The longer and longer lengths of time it takes to use the wash plant end up costing them more time and money than just shutting it off. Rick comes to the hard decision that Rocky is done for the year, and now all efforts have to be focused on their second wash plant, Monster Red. While Rick understands that striking out on his own is risky, he thought the rewards would be worth it. A lot of people doubted he would be able to survive on his own like that, but so far, Rick has been able to prove them wrong. However, now with one wash plant down and the weather getting colder by the day, he is starting to have doubts. This is only his third season on his own after leaving the Klondike and finding the big gold in the mountains. Rick has invested a $250,000 deposit to purchase his claims, but the end of the mining season is creeping up, and he still needs 550 ounces to reach his target of 2,000 ounces of gold. Over the walkie-talkies, Rick gets a message asking him to check out a situation the crew is having with water. Rick races down to a massive pond of water where his worker is meant to be smoothing out the area. He tells him that they are going to need to get a pump to remove the water and give them access to the pay dirt below. After digging for over 2 months, the Ness crew are 170 feet down in the Raleigh Valley.
We finally got our hopper feeder in, and I paid off Troy his royalties for the year, so that feels really good.
This valley is completely filled with water, making it impossible for their equipment to traverse. The high-grade pay in the Raleigh Valley is something that the entire Ness crew is relying on to save this season and career. The 6 feet of water is a huge obstacle that will take time and money to remove. The pump is working, but the valley has only flooded out again, even with the work put into clearing it, setting them back even further than before. Rick's pump is only 6 inches and is no match against the estimated 6,000 gallons of groundwater currently flooding the valley. The water is leaking into the cut every moment. They realize that their plan is ineffectual and that the water pump doesn't work correctly either. Rick remembers that the Taylors have a 10-inch water pump sitting somewhere in their own equipment stash, and the only issue Rick can recall it having is that it has not been used for a couple of years. Their next step is to plumb up the hoses and place the equipment into position. Rick is worried since he knows they don't have much time left, and they need to get to the pay dirt as quickly as possible. The only thing standing in the way is the aider. Chris, a member of the Ness crew, explains that now that they have the 10-inch water pump, they will hopefully get this water cleared and the land dried out soon. Rick managed to drill the hose into place and tells the crew to fire it up. To everyone's relief, the pump turns on. Powered by a giant 465 horsepower dozer engine, the pump is said to be able to empty an Olympic swimming pool in just 70 minutes. This is around 660,000 gallons of water in over an hour. Rick points out how they can see the water being sucked out from feet away, and the hose spits out gallons of water in moments. This is a huge improvement to the wimpy 6-inch water pump that only made the flooding worse. Rick believes that when they arrive in the morning, the valley will be ready to be sluiced and the dirt relocated. The ability to shift their attention from the water and back to the gold is a good sign that they are making progress with this season's gold ounce goal.
Oh, I don't know why I'm so nervous. It's the first one of the year.
You seem a little giddy.
I am. Well, all right, I can't talk anymore.
Well,
I gotta go.
Let's make it rain, boys.
Woo!
The next day, Rick greets his crew in the break room, in higher spirits than before. They have lost 2 days fighting the flooding in the Raleigh Valley, all while trying to avoid letting the recent cold weather from freezing them out of the rest of the season. Shutting down operations would be disastrous at this time. It is crucial that the Raleigh Valley delivers them the gold they need. Rick is still reflecting on where things went wrong, and he regrets that the first water pump did not work, as it would have saved them a lot of time that was wasted in bringing in the second pump and having to install it. They are grateful to have found the second pump, but now Rick reveals that it came with a price tag. Rick spoke to Troy, and according to him, he did not mind lending the water pump as long as Rick was willing to purchase it outright. With no other choice left to him, Rick had to pay $40,000 for the 10-inch water pump. This sets them back even more, as they now have to calculate the amount of gold they need to pay back the expense of the second water pump. Nobody is too upset about this news, as they needed the pump desperately, and they would not have been able to find another in time to dry out the Raleigh Valley. Rick pulls out a water bottle filled with gold and says that he believes by the weight of it that they have made quite a bit of money, and that their hard work and purchase of the pump will pay out. Then he takes out another water bottle filled with gold that he says is worth $100,000. The scale is set up, and they start pouring in the gold. To hit the 2,000 gold ounce weight goal for this season, they will need to mine a whopping 550 ounces of gold before they pack up for the year. The scale slowly fills up with gold, and the final weight comes out to 106.9 ounces of gold. Rick then adds the 106 plus 100 gold in the other bottle to a total of 206,000 gold ounces mined. When calculated, this would give the gold a total of $370,000 combined. After this count, Rick only needs 300 ounces of gold to reach his ultimate season goal. If the Ness crew is able to protect Monster Red and keep it running even in this foul weather,
No secret, Rick spent a lot of time and money chasing after big nuggets last year on a hunch. I hope this isn't last year all over again. I don't need that.
they may be able to save the season after all. This is a huge accomplishment, given that they were delayed for days. Rick is sure that if they just keep mining deeper into the Raleigh Valley, they will soon reach their goal with even more gold to spare. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed Rick Ness's biggest gold hauls and his comeback into the gold mining industry. Let us know in the comments what your favorite part was. If you want to keep up to date with the latest Gold Rush content, make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to turn notifications on so you never miss an update.